Before we even talk about guiding, because guiding is the last step, the first thing is we have to help you as a parent move out of a state of crisis. By definition, and I actually wrote seminal work in crisis theory back in the mid-'80s, late '80s. What I mean by a state of crisis is a pace where you're very now-focused, you're desperate, you're trying everything, you can't reflect, you're not able to evaluate and think things through. You're trying to find a solution everywhere. You're pushing every button. You're tired. You're physically exhausting yourself, okay? And it's a desperate, frantic, helpless state. You're trying to put out fires. The idea of thinking over the longer run of the longer term doesn't seem possible to you. It's very hard to think and get perspective, okay? And what families and what all the consultants have told me is that their perception is that about 95% of every family that walks in, the parents are still in a state of crisis, even if it's been several years since the diagnosis, that they're still in that state of crisis. They're still confused, they're still acting desperate, they're still searching for some immediate fix, some rapid solution. And so the first step, and some people are more embedded in that than others, right? And some people are more ready to move out. Some people can't wait to be told it's okay. Now, unfortunately, that state of crisis gets reinforced by well-meaning professionals who are ill-informed. So we're still hearing many professionals tell parents of a newly diagnosed child that there's this small window of opportunity for development. And if they don't do X, Y, and Z right now at this level of intensity, the child is going to miss out on it. It's completely untrue. In fact, it has the opposite consequence, because the more desperate you are, the more frantic you are, the more that atmosphere is going to be communicated to the child's going to experience it and create a disadvantage for them to be able to grow and develop, right? It's actually going to make things worse. And of course people say that to parents in the best intentions, ways, but it has the worst effect, this sense of rushing. Children who have neurological vulnerabilities, and this would be true of any child with a neurological vulnerable condition, respond very poorly, are very poor learners in frantic, intensive, what you call intensive environments, where they're getting lots of therapies and lots of things. That is the worst condition, the worst environment to put them in. They need time to process. They need time to consider. They need to be carefully monitored so that they're not overloaded, they're not passing a threshold. They need all that consideration, all that respect, all that awareness of who they are, not because of a diagnosis. But yet, almost always what we see when we first see families is just the opposite. Someone or somehow, parents have felt frantic, they feel like they need to do everything, they feel like their time is running out, and they are overloaded, the child is feeling overloaded, the whole system is overloaded and in crisis. And often that will go on for years until there's a burnout. And so what happens is we get to a state that one of my old professors, Roy Baumeister talks about in his published papers on, called ego depletion. Everyone feels so pressured, they're just depleted. Your personal resources don't feel like they're there. And so then we hear people saying, well, I don't have time to do this RDI stuff, this guiding, or I can't videotape this, or it's too hard. And why? Because you're already in such a state of depletion that there really are no resources you've left for growth and development. So even things that we would think of as simple or easy seem overwhelming because you're just right at the edge right now of what you can handle and just in the way your daily life is occurring. Okay? So that's why the first step in our program has to be to help you move out of this crisis state. There's really nothing else that we can do to help you if we can't do that. See, to be a guide, you have to have a state of mind that allows you to have perspective, to reflect, to learn from your experience, to be planful, to prepare your mind, to think on several levels. Those are all things within all of your capacity, because we know how to teach them to you as parents, but not when you're in a state of crisis. So a lot of times we'll hear parents, oh, I can't do this, too hard, too much. And it's not necessarily because it really is too hard for you. It's just you're so depleted right now that even these steps that we can do in a very small step-by-step basis seem overwhelming to you. You're so depleted. And that's why number one is so critical.